So, good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kai Xin, research assistant at the NUS Center for Trusted Internet and Community, and incoming PhD student in Media, Technology and Society at Northwestern University. And today it's my pleasure to be presenting to you our research at SIDIC on smartphone sensing and urban communication, in which we explore the behavioral insights of well-being in intelligent cities. Okay, so first of all, before I begin, I'd like all of you to imagine a future city where every swipe on your smartphone could tell you a story about your mood and mental health. Does that sound a little futuristic to you? Well, actually, in Singapore, we've uncovered some surprising patterns about how our smartphone use can shape individuals' well-being. So in the age of intelligent cities, where digital connectivity and mobile communication underpins our very urban life, understanding the relationship between our smartphone use and psychological well-being is paramount. So there have been concerns on how our smartphone use can affect our well-being. According to a popular theory called the displacement hypothesis, some scholars theorize that the constant connectivity that's afforded to us by our mobile devices could take people away and displace us from face-to-face interactions, thus decreasing our social connectedness while increasing social isolation. And studies have also reported that the excessive use of mobile phones can be linked to negative psychological outcomes like higher stress, poorer mood, depression, anxiety, as well as addiction. So in recent years, a new field of neurourbanism has emerged, which leverages on biosensing technologies to capture psychophysiological markers of emotional response and well-being in individuals within urban environments. And one of this technology is the smartphone, which is an ubiquitous device that everyone carries in your pocket, but can also serve as powerful tools for researchers in terms of collecting behavioral markers of mental health. So mobile experience sampling method, or MESM for short, is a technique that can be used to assess mood, symptoms, context, and appraisals as they occur in our daily lives, whereby we use mobile phones to allow participants to respond to momentary questionnaires or surveys several times over a fixed duration, like a day or a week. In my study, we therefore harness the mobile technologies to examine the relationship between smartphone use and psychological well-being, where we incorporated the MESM as well as passive sensing techniques. So using Paco, a mobile app that's designed for researchers, as you can see on the screen, that's actually an example of the survey that we ran. Participants responded to ESM surveys 3 times a day, once in the morning, afternoon, and night, over a period of 4 weeks, and provided us with data on their daily mood, stress, as well as contextual factors like the time and type of day. And a baseline and end of study survey was also completed at the start and end of the study respectively, which gave us information on their demographics and long-term psychological well-being. So to complement this subjective well-being data, we also collected objective real-time data of participants' phone use using the passive sensing technique, whereby we used the app usage application, which was installed on every single participant's mobile phone and helped us to record their screen time, app usage history, and other smartphone behaviors. Altogether, there were a total of 138 participants who took part in our study, which yielded us with a total of 123 baseline and end of study surveys, more than 9,000 valid ESM surveys, and 2,700 phone usage records. And our study was conducted in Singapore, which was selected not just because we are based in Singapore, but also given its status as the 5th smartest city in the world, with one of the highest levels of digital and mobile connectivity worldwide. So all this was to answer 2 specific questions. Firstly, how does our overall smartphone use affect individuals' long-term psychological well-being? And second, how does smartphone use affect individuals' short-term psychological well-being in terms of our day-to-day stress and mood? So what were our findings from this study? This can be a summary of the 3 key findings, which I'll go through one by one. So firstly, we found that there were no significant long-term associations between overall phone use, and long-term psychological well-being. So as you can see from this table, although there's lots of numbers and words, essentially we carried out two regression models whereby we modeled all the phone usage variables against our smartphone and psychological well-being variables while controlling for demographic information like age, gender, as well as baseline depression, anxiety, and psychological well-being. And from the tables, our regression analysis actually found that there were no significant correlations, whereby the p-values were all above 0.05 between all our overall phone usage variables, as well as depression, anxiety, and long-term psychological well-being. So secondly, on the other hand, we actually found significant correlations between participants' daily screen time and mood. So we conducted this analysis that's called multi-level analysis, whereby on a between subject level, that is between different individuals, as well as on a within subject level, that is within a single individual, but over a different period of time, we found that the daily screen time was actually positively associated with individuals' mood. That is, this indicates that higher screen time actually correlated with improved mood amongst participants. But in contrast, we also found that there were negative correlations between app swinging and switching, as well as participants' daily mood and stress. So what exactly is app swinging and switching, you might be asking? So with the convergence of media content, platforms, and devices, individuals are increasingly switching and cross-pollinating between tasks in a single phone use session, leading to increased fragmentation of our media time. And such behavior is called app switching, which is defined as the alternating use of apps. But within a polymedia environment, users also engage in more complex smartphone behaviors, most notably app swinging, which we define as the act of transitioning from one app to another, but returning to the same app within the same phone usage session. So to give an example to illustrate, I'm sure everyone is very familiar with you're browsing on your smartphone on a social media app, maybe watching a video on YouTube, or for the Chinese counterparts on Xiaohongshu, when you suddenly receive a message notification on WhatsApp or WeChat. So then you pop over to your messaging app, send a reply to your friend, and then you return back to the same social media app. So that would constitute one app swing, but we count it as one app swing, but two app switches. But the app swing is actually distinct from the act of app switching, which entails merely switching from one platform to another, but then abandoning the previous one. So on a between subject level, our multi-level analysis actually showed that the normalized daily count of app switching had a significant positive association with stress. And on a within subject level, the daily rate of app swinging was found to be negatively associated with mood. So what does this tell us? It shows that higher counts of app switching correlated with higher stress, while higher rates of app swings correlated to poorer mood, thus all leading to poorer short-term psychological well-being. So taken together, what are the insights and implications that we can gather from our study? So first of all, far from a simple dichotomy between what is good or bad, the relationship between phone use and psychological well-being is really complex and dynamic. And to gain a deeper understanding of the relationship between the two, it's very important for us to consider the nuanced patterns of phone and app usage behaviors, not just screen time, but going beyond to more complex behaviors like app swinging and app switching. And in order to do so, we can actually leverage on mobile technologies like sensors and apps, and techniques like passive sensing and MESM for us to gain richer, nuanced insight into computational and behavioral markers of digital well-being and psychological health. And these insights in turn can be used by developers and tech companies to design technologies that promote healthier, mindful digital habits and serve to help rather than to harm users' well-being. So here are some examples that have already been put in place. For example, Google Digital Wellbeing, as well as smartphone concepts that aim to enhance people's well-being, or even apps like Calm, Headspace, and Dialogue that have a focus on wellness, prevention, and enhancing digital mindfulness amongst users. But beyond our digital devices and platforms, let's not forget that cities also serve as key physical spaces in which our emotions and mental health can be shaped. So the biosensing and mobile technologies, like the ones that I mentioned, offer valuable opportunities for policymakers and urban planners to adopt data-driven and technology-enabled approaches to implement urban well-being policies and build smarter cities that are healthier and happier for all. Already, there are many smart city projects around the world that have been initiated with aims of harnessing technologies like the Internet of Things, big data, and sensors to enhance citizen well-being. So some examples are the SENSE project in San Francisco, which integrates geospatial and biometric data to measure urban stress, or the City for Age project in Birmingham, UK, whereby they leverage on smartphones, sensors, and smart city systems to actually support the well-being of seniors. And let's not forget, in Asia and Middle East, there is the Smart Dubai initiative, which aims to collect behavioral data and aims to make Dubai the happiest city in the world. So as the connections between mental health, city life, and urban landscapes are increasingly researched by scholars, there is optimism that these results will inform new biological approaches to the active promotion of urban health and well-being. So, as the Neuroscience for Cities playbook by the University College of London states, 20 years from now, we may look back and wonder how we ever planned cities without the use of cognitive and biological data. Bringing you back to the first scenario that I posed to you at the start of my presentation, whereby I asked you to imagine a future city where every swipe of a smartphone could tell a story about your mood and mental health. Perhaps the future is not so far away, and perhaps the future is now. Thank you so much.